Hello and welcome back to the Nest and Inside the Iggles live show on this. What day is today? Who cares? Who cares? At all. We're here to talk to you about the Eagles losing their week 6. I don't even know time anymore. Nothing matters. Talk about the week 6 Eagles loss to the lowly New York Jets. Somehow the Eagles managed to lose this game. Not fun at all. You know, game started, things seem to be going well. The Eagles forced the Jets to punt. And then the Eagles have a tremendous drive. What was it? Let me look at the number real quick. It was a 19 play, 91-yard drive. 19 play, 91-yard drive that ended up in a touchdown, which I don't know. That was kind of a thing that pulled at your emotions a little bit, because the game went to commercial. We didn't know they were going to review it. It seemed like they ruled the ball down at the half-inch line. And they come back and everybody's like, oh my God, they just did 19 plays, 91 yards, no points at all. Of course, that's how the red zone offense is going to go. That's what it's always done. But then they come back from commercial break and Eagles have a touchdown. Like, okay, vibes are good. Vibes are great. Vibes are immaculate. Eagles get the ball again after that. And the worst thing to happen, not the worst thing. You know what? Yes, the worst thing. Actually, the worst thing that could happen happened. And Lane Johnson gets an ankle. That sucks. We all know the Lane Johnson stat. It's like what? Like now it's like they're 10-23 without Lane Johnson. So that sucks. In comes Jack Driscoll. He sucks. That guy's awful. That guy's a professional football player. If he's a professional football player, I could be a professional football player. Jack Driscoll's a garbage pail. Jack Driscoll I don't know what value he has. I don't know. He must have some kind of dirt on somebody on the coaching staff in order to con his way onto this team. What are you doing, Jack Driscoll? You're bad at everything. You're bad at run blocking. You're bad at pass blocking. People called him a turnstile. He's not even a turnstile. He's like if Casper the Friendly Ghost, like nobody could see him. He just wasn't there. He was nothing. He wasn't even a roadblock, even a speed bump. The guy's a garbage. Anyway, things just go bad from there. People get injured because it's MetLife, and even though they got the artificial turf, doesn't matter. It's a cursed place built on an Indian burial ground, I'm assuming. Otherwise, there's some kind of vengeful spirit that's haunting every team some other way. Things kind of got bad. Dallas Goedert, fumble, interception, knees a ball. I don't know. That seemed like one of those like you're playing volley, like you see a volleyball volley on YouTube. You're like, wow, this is really cool. And then somebody hits one of the balls in a really bizarre way. And that's what Dallas Goedert did. Need a ball straight to Quinnen Williams. So that sucked. That was awful. Then we got a DeAndre Swift fumble. That sucked too. That was really bad. Then Jalen Hurts gets hit in the arm as he's throwing. Throws an interception. That sucked. So that's like four things that suck already right here. And then it kind of just sucked when he threw that other interception, not directly to that other guy when he was trying to target Dallas Goedert at the end. But you know, if you would have told me he was throwing it directly to him, I'd say probably you're probably kind of right there. Eagles did let the Jets score. Otherwise, this 20 points would have been a 15-14 win. I don't know. Broken, tattered, shattered, hurt. And I keep seeing people on the internet be like, "Oh, don't worry about it. It's just one loss." No. Don't hit me with the "don't worry about it" thing. This is big. This is a big loss. Don't hit me with the you guys never would have been able to handle the things in the 60s. Like, well, I wasn't alive in the 60s, or I guess 70s and 80s. Like, I wasn't alive then. Okay, so don't hit me with that shit. All right, I don't want. No. This is now. We're dealing with this now. This is a now thing, and this is awful. And things are only going to get worse because the schedule is going to get worse. Just overall having a really bad time. Me personally, I'm going to bring in my hosts. One of them also having a bad time. The other one probably going to have a shitting grin on his face when I pop him on the screen right now. Let's look at that. Oh, there it is. Brand Pockris waving, smiling like a dick. And Travis Williams. shaking his head as an appropriate response. How are you guys doing?
I mean, I'm doing pretty good.
Yep.
I'll leave it at that.
Yep. Travis, how you doing?
I got both my Achilles doing pretty healthy over here, so I'm good. Always
good.
nice to have two strong legs to stand on after the Eagles let you down.
That's the important thing, is that the Jets are nothing. They're always going to be nothing, but they won a game, and we're reeling in it. Vibes. Let's do a vibe check real quick. Let's do an Eagles vibe check, Brandon. Eagles vibe check. We don't care about the other half of you.
That is fair.
Good.
Eagles vibe check. It's very interesting when I look at it, because I actually, in one way, feel good about this Eagles team, and in one way, I don't feel as good. So, if we look at it, the defense, considering what they were missing, aka the wrecking force in the middle of their defense, Jalen Carter, and a very good cornerback in Darius Slay, I think they did a pretty good job. And by pretty good job, I mean they stymied the Jets with the red zone opportunities, whether that's more on the Jets or more on the Eagles. Doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the box score shows that the only touchdown the Jets really scored was when the Eagles led them. And that's a credit to their front seven, which we talk about all the time, is one of, if not the most vital part of that entire roster, not just the defense. They showed why in that case, right? Even with some of the issues in the secondary, not really too much separation from the Jets receivers, not really guys running wild down the field. And yes, that might be a part of the Jets personnel, as outside of Garrett Wilson, they don't really have that guy, where as opposed to you look at the Eagles or some of the other better teams in the league that have 1, 2, maybe even 3 guys where they can create that separation for their quarterback. My thing with the Eagles, and this is where we kind of get into some of the quote unquote bad vibes, right? The Eagles offense lost them this game.
Oh, yeah.
And I don't understand a lot of the play calling, especially towards the late part of the game. And looking at what they were up against, it's very interesting how they couldn't find as much success, because on our prediction, we talked about, oh, yeah, even without DJ Reed, they still have Sauce Gardner. Sauce Gardner didn't play in this game.
Right.
The top 2 cornerbacks for the Jets were Bryce Hall, who up until last week really had not started a game for the Jets in almost a year. Oh, probably over a year. And opposite of him was Craig James. I'm not sure if you guys know who Craig James is.
That's a creative character name.
He was with the Jets in the preseason. Was a practice squad guy. They call him up. He had the second highest defensive PFF grade for the Jets on their entire team. The other guy was Tay Hayes. Tay Hayes. I didn't even know who this guy was, but he was getting significant reps. They were moving Michael Carter II all over. They were using Tony Adams. And yet they found a way to shut down the Eagles' offense in the second half. It's been the consistent theme of the Jets all year. They didn't even start as slow as they had previously. They let up the 1 touchdown. But that second half, they blanked the Eagles. Completely blanked the Eagles, which with a team with A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, honestly shouldn't happen, especially against a depleted Jets secondary group. Obviously, the Lane Johnson injury adds to that, because Lane Johnson, huge part of their offensive line. And it felt like the minute that happened, the Jets started to generate pressure, but all the pressure wasn't coming from the vacated position that Johnson had. Bryce Huff was generating pressure, and Jermaine Johnson, and they were pushing the interior. And Jalen Hurts did a really good job of avoiding pressure for the majority of the game. But at the end of the day, once that pressure is in your face all the time, get play after play after play, that's going to have an effect on how a guy reads a defense. How I've seen it all the time with Jets quarterback play. Once the defense gets in someone's head, I wouldn't say Hurts was necessarily seeing ghosts, but you start feeling that pressure when it might not be there. And I think, for example, with what do you call it? The pick to Goddard where Tony Adams jumped the route. I think that was a big example of that. Which that's a complete different discussion on whether they should have passed or ran the ball in that situation. But
we'll get into that.
You saw the impact of the defense throughout that entire drive. Overall, look, the Eagles are 5-1. They are a very, very good football team. But we have said this time after time on this show. They are a flawed team. This is not a team that is perfect. And going forward, especially after this game, you are heading into a stretch where you are going to find out who the Philadelphia Eagles truly are.
And I'm afraid
that is going to tell a lot about not just this year, but going forward.
What about you, Travis? What are your vibes?
Yeah, I mean, Brandon hit a lot of things, hit the nail right on the head. But, I mean, for me, it's a good thing the Phillies are playing in the NLCS tonight. I mean, that helps take the edge off. But still, just focusing on the Eagles, I think the silver lining is that Sean Desai, he does deserve credit for coming into the game without Jalen Carter, without Darius Slay, and like Brandon said, not allowing a touchdown until the Eagles really handed it to him, until they threw an interception, gave him the ball inside the 10, and we're like, here you go. But Sean decided to do a good job of handling the Jets, which, I mean, it wasn't like it was the Jets offense was coming into that game looking like world beaters, but the offense did really lose the game. And the stat that sticks out to me is that the Eagles, since the start of 2022, when they run the ball 15 times or more with their running backs, so running back carries, they're 18-1. And when they give their running backs fewer than 15 carries, they're 1-3. That was something that Philadelphia Eagles Central had out there on Twitter that I saw. But, you know, Craig James' revenge game, he had to come in because he was a captain for the Eagles back in 2020 for special teams. But it's just not a good vibe when you see. I think Brian Johnson will get a lot of hate from Eagles fans, and a lot of people definitely want him fired and they want him thrown out. But that's not going to happen. It's just you're not going to be able to go find a guy who's going to do anything better than that when the season's already going on. Because all you're going to be able to do is just promote a guy from within who's going to be more or less going off the same sheet, going off the same game plan. And there's not really time to adjust that. That's going to have to be working it out with Brian Johnson. And it seems like the Eagles are cursed. Like it's against their rules to have a good offensive coordinator and a good defensive coordinator at the same time. We always have to sacrifice one, which I wish weren't the case. But
yeah, the Frank Reich and why am I blanking on his name?
Schwartz.
Jim Schwartz. I was thinking Mike Schmidt. That's wrong. Jim Schwartz. I was thinking that like that. What a blessing that was. What.
And even then, it felt like they could never get it together on the same night. Even then.
Right. Yeah. Those days are gone. Yeah. I'm talking about new coordinator battle between in the new coordinator battle for the Eagles. Sean Desai running Brian Johnson out of the gym. Just pushed him over.
Mm-hmm. And while I think Brian Johnson does deserve a lot of the blame for this game, things that he couldn't control still looked bad. You know, like the Eagles did not take good care of the football, whether if that was carrying it or Jalen Hurts, you know, like, yeah, you can say, okay, the first interception was crazy. It was Goddard dropped it and it got hit right into the defender's hands. You could say the second interception, Jalen Hurts got hit as he was throwing. But those things, knowing when the receiver is open versus when the receiver is in a place to get the ball hit out, and knowing when the defenders are coming and they can hit your arm like that is part of ball security.
Oh yeah.
And the third interception, that was completely on Jalen. I don't think anyone knows that more than him. But I think he kind of Jalen let that pettiness and that anger he plays with get the best of him a little, because then you see him going out and on fourth down, chucking the ball 50 yards down the field into triple coverage. And it's just that's not going to work. And when you got players who aren't taking care of the football and aren't making the decisions that we've seen them make before. That's taken them to a level that is the top of the NFC and Super Bowl caliber. And you couple that with a coordinator that's not playing, not calling plays to the strength of the players, and not really understanding game situations, with a lot of third and long runs, a lot of plays where Kenneth Gainwell shouldn't have been on the field. And there's a lot to figure out. There's two ways that this can go. They can learn from it. They can correct their mistakes. They can be accountable without hurting themselves over it. And they can move on, and they can show up next week as a better football team, or they can start to spiral, because everyone has seen, even though they were 5-0, they were still very flawed, and they've still played a lot of sloppy football. So my vibe is not good right now, but it could definitely be worse, but it could also definitely be a lot better.
Yeah. So couple things that you I'm trying to think of the way to do this. So Brandon, you brought up the letting in the touchdown at the end. So so Nick Sirianni, he talked to the media today. He did his little thing where he's standing in front of a green screen, and somebody asked him about that, and this bitch, like okay, there's one thing playing your cards close to your chest, and that's what Nick loves to do, and he loves to say it, except he says playing the cards close to my vest, which is an incorrect statement. A poor use of that idiom, because he's not saying it correctly. But he said that he's not going to confirm or deny that they let in that touchdown. Like, what, buddy?
All right, buddy. Being at the stadium yesterday, right? Literally, Breece Hall gets the handoff. All the Eagles players go like this,
2-hand touch,
and just right in. No, not even 2-hand touch. They stopped. They legitimately stopped moving on the play. Yeah, it's the most obvious thing that they let him score.
But he's gonna be like, no, I'm not gonna say that we did or we didn't. That's a strategy thing. It's like, buddy, you did. That was more obvious than when you tried to pull Jerick McKinnon in the Super Bowl. Like that, we saw it, buddy. We saw it happen. So that was one thing he said. The other thing, though, and Travis, to you, you said that Jalen Hurts is to blame for that last interception. Okay. Another thing that Nick said in his media thing today is that he blames himself for that one. He said that there's people to blame for all three of those interceptions. Obviously, the first one, that's probably going to be on Dallas Goedert, because that was a good play. Dallas messed that one up. Second one, you could probably blame. I would blame that one. I would blame that one on Jalen for not having a good pocket awareness, pocket presence, however you want to phrase it. But that third one, he was saying that was play scheme. I think Brandon, you had a good point there when he was feeling the phantom pain, the phantom pressure coming from the right side, and that's why he kind of bailed a little bit to his left. But I think Nick was saying that was not a good, that play that they had was bad. And I don't think that it can be 100% on one person. Eyeball test, not being in the quarterback room, I'm saying 75% Jalen, 25% scheme. But it seemed like Nick wanted to be like 80% him, 25% Jalen, which I don't know.
It's not a good sign. He doesn't even call the plays, and he's saying, blame it on me. It was the play's fault. So
it is his offense.
It is. But, if it's that situation, and that's the situation where Brian Johnson calls that play, and Hurts ultimately decides what he's going to do with the football. I think Sirianni is at most the third most responsible person. You'd have to think it goes Jalen Hurts for throwing the football right at the defender,
right,
and then Brian Johnson for calling the play in that situation. That really, that's the time where if you're going to run on third and long, run on third and long, chew up some clock, chew up their timeout, and then punt it. Why risk it? Because if the Jets start that drive inside their own 20-yard line, they probably don't win the game.
Not a chance.
Yeah, that's kind of what my thought process has been with it, where I was like, legitimately, I was floored considering how the rest of the game had shaken out, that they even decided to throw the ball on third down. Yes, on one hand, the Eagles are trying to put the game away. And you got that third down, you convert it, it's like, all right, game's over. Jets had to use the rest of their timeouts, and the Eagles win. But consider who the Jets have on offense at quarterback. Zach Wilson. If you run that ball, no matter what, number one, you're knocking more time off the clock, which is very important. Maybe the Jets take their last time out there. Who knows? Number two, you are making Zach Wilson, in all likelihood, unless the punt's blocked or something crazy happens, drive the entire length of the field. This isn't a defense that had been getting the job done for the majority of the day. Garrett Wilson was hobbled on an ankle injury that he had to already come out of the game twice for, where he ripped the MetLife turf after saying it was garbage, which I think that's a universal truth at this point. And in all likelihood, like Travis said, the Jets don't win that game if Zach Wilson has to drive the length of the field. And that's not saying that Zach Wilson wouldn't or isn't this amazing quarterback. He really isn't. But he was playing decent. I just would have more faith in the Eagles defense to shut down a full-length Jets drive where they have to get a field goal, right? You have to put the trust in that unit that really hadn't led up that many big drives or points to that point. But instead, you're throwing the ball, you turn the ball over, and now on the flip side, because the Jets scored that touchdown, you are now having to drive the length of the field against a defense that had blanked you to that point. It didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I think this might be a good time to talk about that fourth down or the third down decision there to pass or throw, because it sounds like both of you guys are pro run the ball there, correct?
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think it makes sense to run the ball on 3rd and 7 and 3rd and 8 all night and then pass in that situation.
That's fair.
It's hard to not want to pass on 3rd and 9, but when you've been running on 3rd and long all night and then you decide to pass when you should start to think about chewing clock, that's what's more infuriating to me. I would say, though, I'm probably in team run.
Because the argument with the running the ball is that it's going to chew up more time. Because at that point, I believe I saw somebody did the math. It was like you run the ball and then punt the ball. The Jets are going to have 1 minute and 5 seconds left in one timeout. Now, I'm pro passing the ball there. Number one, because the passing offense, aside from the hiccups with the interceptions and everything, and again, at that point, we were talking about before the show, Brandon said that Jalen Hurts had thrown 2 interceptions at that point. I would only really count it as just the 1 interception because of the Dallas Goedert thing is very bizarre. You should credit that to somebody else. The reason I like the passing thing, if you think the way I'm thinking about it, is that if you're choosing a play, what do the Jets want you to do right there? What the Jets want you to do is run the ball right there, because you're not going to get the first down, because the running game had not been working. I mean, they never really committed to it like they had in the previous 5 games. But the Jets want the Eagles to run the ball right there. And Kyle Brown in the comment here, the Eagles did not run the ball enough, in my opinion. We were talking about, they ran it 10 times, something like that. It was very, very, very dumb. But Jets want you to run the ball, so you should. I think you should throw the ball. Leave it to your elite playmakers and your elite quarterback who can throw the ball in those tight windows. Let them do their thing. Obviously, it went horribly, terribly wrong, and it was an absolute disaster. But I'm kind of in on that, because again, if not, then you're still not thinking Zach Wilson's going to be able to make it down the field, even if it isn't incomplete.
I mean. In that, I get what you're saying, right? And it does make sense where you have Goddard, you have AJ Brown, you have Devonta Smith. Trust those guys in a situation where it's not really a strength of the Jets in that game.
Correct.
But at the same time, I go towards the mindset where I'd rather have Zach Wilson deal with my strength and a front 7 that's been hitting him for the majority of the game and has been getting to him for the majority of the game, whether it was the O-line actually letting things through or him holding onto the ball too long, taking into account the history of this player where before the past few weeks where he looked adequate, he looked like one of the worst quarterbacks ever. And I trust my defense in that situation instead of when you throw the pass, you run the risk of an incompletion, which gives them more time, an interception that completely flips the outcome of the game, or an interception that leads to a defensive touchdown. And obviously you saw what happened. The interception happens. I'm usually, when I look at this stuff, I'm usually a fan of being aggressive. I love throwing the ball on early downs. I'm okay with throwing the ball on third down and those type of situations. But you have to understand, and this is how I see it, who is on the other side and the personnel that's on the other side and what has been happening over the course of the game.
Yeah.
And
near the end when that defensive line was they were starting to just blast that offensive line, like that was like the drive before that with Hassan Reddick just like ruining, just eating Zach Wilson's lunch.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, they just started getting into that groove. Yeah,
it was off the missed field goal. It was off the missed field goal. Looks like the Jets are going to drive down the field. All of a sudden, basically a 4-and-out, and Eagles have the ball right back. So with that just happening, why not put the ball in Zach Wilson's hands to force them to win the game? It didn't make sense to me, and obviously went towards the Jets' benefit and to the Eagles' detriment.
Yep.
But let's face it, you do that same type of thing against the Dolphins, the 49ers, all these teams that are coming up that have a lot better offenses currently than the Jets. That's how you lose games, and that's how a 5-1 season turns into a 5-5 season in a few weeks.
Yeah, it's not great. I have a list here. I have a list here of 14 things that went wrong in this game. If you guys will indulge me, stop me if you want to discuss.
That's surprisingly short.
Okay, well, one of them, the number one, actually starting on it with Lane Johnson getting hurt in the second drive. That does play into a lot of them, because then, like I said, Jack Driscoll went in there and he's a garbage pail. So that's a big one.
Tyler Steen at right tackle, is that the move?
Fred Johnson. There's other options.
Be against kicking the tires and Steen.
Yeah,
that's what he played in college. Obviously, you worry about arm length, you worry about different stuff like that. But look, the Jets did it with Elijah Vera Tucker, and they didn't have terrible results. It was arguably his better position. So if you have a guy that talented, I don't think it hurts to try it.
Now,
I would put him out there.
My thing is that I don't know if he is that talented. He immediately lost the right guard job and didn't just lose it, but like we said, downgraded himself to a third right guard with Sua Opeta. He's like, oh, Tyler Steen's so not good at this that Sua Opeta is better than him at this. So that, and then if he's been inactive. So I don't, maybe he's not there. I think we said this before. You'd rather have your third round offensive lineman be able to actually perform well, and I don't know what they're seeing in him, but that it is frightening. It is frightening. Hopefully he can't be worse than Jack Driscoll. But again, to say 14 things, that one encompasses that's a big hug, that Lane Johnson going out. And I don't think we're going to see him until after the bye week. Do you guys think that? I mean, obviously we don't have any idea what the hell.
I disagree with that. I saw it today. I think it was either Schefter or Rappaport tweeted that the MRI came back negative and that it looks a lot better than anyone thought. So I would say he's probably looking like right now he's misses hopefully a maximum of 2 games.
But, Schefter went on McAfee today and said that he received word that the ankle injury is not that serious and better than they originally thought, which, hey, you never know what that means. I think they could play it safe and be like, rest up until past the bye week because we need you for Kansas City, Buffalo, San Francisco.
Right.
And does it help the Eagles for what they want to have, which is a late playoff run and trying to get to another Super Bowl, if they rush him back by the Commanders game? No, I don't think it does. So I think you either see him right before the bye week or after the bye week.
Now, my thing with that, I think Travis, you could be right. But I think Brandon's the smart move is to put him on the shelf and wait and get him that extra bit of time. But it could be like a Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew situation from last year, where maybe Tyler Steen or Fred Johnson is just an absolute dud at right tackle, and they're like, hey Lane, buddy, we need you. Our $250 million quarterback is getting absolutely pulverized from the right side. We're going to need you. So. It really, I think whenever Lane Johnson comes back, kind of depends on what the hell is going on at that right tackle. But I think the smart move is kind of letting him sit on the shelf there and rest up. Because how old is he? He's like,
33?
I don't know,
32 maybe.
Something like that.
But I also think Lane's the type of guy where if we lose to Miami and he sees Driscoll or Johnson or Steen getting blown up, he's gonna say like, look, if my MRIs are negative, my X-rays are negative, I'm gonna take some Toradol, wrap it up, and I'm gonna go play.
Right. Yeah, I played without my intestines last year, or whatever the hell it was. I don't understand hernias, or whatever the hell he had. Okay, so that was one. That was one. Lane Johnson getting hurt. Number 2, Dallas got an interception. I'm not entirely sure how much more we can say on that one. Number 3 was Eli Ricks getting hurt. Just further taking away the depth from the defensive secondary that's already thin. That was a big thing. Number 4 is the DeAndre Swift fumble. He's not a fumble guy, is he? He's not a fumble guy. Is he? Well, yeah. It's not worse than freaking Miles Sanders. So we have that for us. Number 5 was the Josh Jobe DPI on 2nd and 12. Josh Jobe, buddy, get it together, friend. That was
just to backtrack a bit. That was Swift's seventh career fumble in 4 seasons.
Well, I mean, if you remember correctly, right? That was basically the entire reason he began to fall out of favor in Detroit, because he fumbled, I think, one of his first times carrying the ball for the Lions, and then it kind of all started to go downhill from there.
Okay, so that could be a bigger issue. Once somebody gets a fumble bug, that's like AIDS, man. You can't get rid of it. That was the right thing to say there. The next one was the Devontae Smith missed catch in the middle. That was brutal. That's money. That's money. So that's a big one. Number 7, the penalty on the Olamide Zaccheaus 15-yard catch for the illegal shift. That's another game-changing one. Just further setting yourself back after you get the first down. Number 8, the Milton Williams injury. Very injury heavy here. Number 9, and this one got me steamed. The Alan Lazard blindside block on Reed Blankenship that injured Reed Blankenship. Alan Lazard, okay, this is deep. Robert Saleh is a dirty son of a bitch, okay? Because when you look back to last year's preseason game, he has whatever his dick is, hit Jalen Hurts out of bounds, and Robert Saleh is like high-fiving him. If you think for a minute that Robert Saleh is not telling his entire team, because his whole give him 11 kisses thing that he was saying earlier this week, if you think for a minute there that Robert Saleh is not like, hey, if you get a chance to blow up any of their playmakers on either side of their ball, take it. Alan Lazard gets a chance to absolutely ruin Reed Blankenship's week. That's a solid thing. Alan Lazard's a dirty boy, and he that was fucked. That was dumb.
I thought it was kind of borderline. I didn't really think it was that much of a blindside block.
Yeah, it was a blindside. That's if you ask a blind guy to draw a blindside block.
Was he not looking? I didn't see the TV replay. It didn't really look like that much of a blindside in like live action, and I didn't really see it. But
when they replay,
look, I'm open to be wrong.
When they replay it, you can really see that Reed, like, his body shifts a little bit, but his head the entire time is never sees Lazard.
Yep, not until a millisecond before the hit. Yeah, that was and that's huge, because if Reed is missing multiple games, again, like we're saying, with Mekhi Gardner and freaking Terrell Edmonds in playing safety next week, buddy, they're gonna get boat raced. It's gonna be a literal track meet in the defensive secondary, and they're just gonna get gassed the entire time. Reed Blankenship is the only only safe blanket back there, and he's been amazing. He's one of the, I don't want to say one of the best players on this defense, because that defensive line is absolutely stacked with good guys, but sucks. That sucks. And he's already hurt his ribs this year. I'm sure they haven't fully healed, and that probably broke one off or something like that. That sucked. I don't like it.
All they got to do is, don't worry. All they have to do is run the ball and capitalize in the red zone. That's all they have to do.
Yeah,
to keep the ball. Just
tell Brian Johnson that. Yeah, that's the other thing. With all these turnovers and everything, you can't be bad in the red zone if you never get to the red zone. They were 2 for 3 yesterday. So congratulations on doing 66% in the red zone. Congratulations on that, Brian Johnson. 2 for 3. Get to the center myself. Okay, another big one. This is number 10. The 3rd and 6 incompletion to Kenny G. I'm sure you probably didn't see that very well from being at the game, Brandon, but that ball that hits Kenny Gainwell on the sideline, it just smokes him right in the chest and he drops it. That was on a 3rd and 6.
Was that the one in the flat where it looked like he had a bunch of room to run?
No, he kind of had a guy on his back, but it was right at the sticks.
Gotcha.
Would have been first down. Do you remember that, Travis? Am I blowing that one out of proportion?
No, there was definitely someone that was there, and he could have, but he would have had the first down.
Yeah, and that was on one of those last drives. Then number 11 is Jalen's arm getting hit and throws the interception. Number 2 was that what was the that edge rusher that was blowing up Jack Driscoll that you said Bussy?
It wasn't Bryce Huff. That was Jermaine
Huffy.
Johnson on that one.
Okay. So yeah, that one was tough. Jake Elliott missing a field goal. That might be the biggest game-changing play of this. Even with the interceptions, because Jake Elliott makes that field goal, Eagles are up by 5. If the Eagles are up by 5, that means that the Jets have to get a touchdown on that last drive. And if that's the case, there's not a chance in hell they're throwing that ball. Because you got to make it's not just Zach Wilson would have to drive to the 30-40 yard line because Greg Zuerlein has a good leg and kick a field goal to win, but Zach Wilson has to drive the entire length of the field. So yeah, that was a big one.
And it was crazy because it was a shorter yardage one. Like, it wasn't like something out of Elliott's range.
Yeah, and he knew
you could tell, like, they were on, I think it was the left hash, and he missed wide right. Like, he pulled it too far. He way over adjusted, and you could just tell he knew it right when he hit it.
I'm looking up right now how many missed field goals there were. Google's not just going to tell me. Yesterday was a bad day for kickers. Yesterday,
Yes.
like on red zone all morning, it was just kicks going shoof, 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 shoof.
Well, the other undefeated team, 49ers, lost in a very similar fashion.
Yeah. Okay. Did you guys have Travis? Did you have this on your broadcast at the beginning of the game on the Fox broadcast? They double boxed in the 49ers.
Yes, that was the worst. You couldn't like.
I heard.
And the
about
sound
that.
kept changing. Like, you would see the Eagles starting to play, and you would hear like the Browns sideline, and then like they completely botched it. So whatever team was actually playing, they had the sound on for the other game. Where they didn't have a play going on. It was just some banter in between plays.
It was so stupid. It was so stupid. It was so goddamn stupid. And then after he misses the field goal, they keep like, because not only did they double box it in, but they made the Eagles game like tiny, like this. And then the 49ers game over here was this big. They completely botched it, and then after he misses the field goal, they just keep it big over on the side of the screen. Like, what? I felt like Michael Scott just standing up, staring at my, like, this is my flat screen TV. Like, it was tiny. It was tiny. I hated it. It's like they missed the field. I don't give a shit anymore. Get it off of my TV. I don't care about these people. God damn. Scott Hansen can nail this, and you Fox is over here fucking playing with matches, and Scott Hansen's got a goddamn flamethrower. It's like, you guys get it together. It's so
Fox
stupid.
Sports is so bad at everything that they do. It doesn't matter if it's NFL or baseball or even NASCAR, man. It's all bad.
So I also read there was an issue with Sunday Ticket. Like people with Sunday Ticket were trying to get the game, and they just kept showing the 49ers game.
Oh, I believe it. Looking at the I'm in St. Louis, okay, and the 506, the broadcast map, okay. America's game of the week is Eagles and Jets. The entire goddamn country. But don't worry. In St. Louis, it splits about 50 miles to my west, because there's a little peninsula right here where it's like, oh, people in St. Louis, they're really going to want to watch the Lions Tampa Bay game. So what the hell are you talking about? No one gives a shit about that. No one cares about that. So I ended up having to sail the 7 seas and go to whatever Sports Surge or whatever. I can't remember what app
It's probably Sports Surge.
Yeah, okay. It is so goddamn stupid. Anyway, so that was the missed field goal. Then the terrible interception, and then the 4th and 8 deep shot to Devontae Smith. Did you guys have any opinion on that last play of the game?
I didn't really get to see it.
That was terrible.
I didn't really get to see the coverage. What was the setup with that play? Because it Hurts made a completely ill-advised throw into double coverage to Smith.
Well, so when they replayed it, you could kind of see what Hurts saw initially. It was like he kind of got baited. Like you could see Devontae had a step, and there was one defender that looked like he could close in, and it was like Hurts honestly just couldn't throw the ball that far. Like Hurts couldn't air it out as much as he needed to, and then also it gave time for 2 more defenders to come crashing in. So it didn't look as bad at the time of throw looking downfield, but it still is a throw that an NFL quarterback should know better than to make.
Yeah, there was a window there, but I think he throttled it the first time, and then he throttled it before he should have thrown it, and then after he throttled it was when he should have thrown it, and then he did throw it, but it was too late. Like he had a window from here to here, and he throttled it right here, and then threw it right here. It was not great.
And also sidebar. And this is probably sour grapes, and we obviously don't know how the scheme was and what the play call was, but why wasn't it A.J. Brown on that route again? Like, if you're throwing a jump ball in that spot on 4th down, why not throw it up to the guy that's been dominating every Jets defensive back or defensive player that's been on him the entire game? Devonta Smith had Quincy Williams running with him in coverage. And look, I love Quincy Williams, awesome player, but sometimes it's just not your day as a wide receiver. If you're getting clamped up by a linebacker, that's just telling me, hey, maybe we should go to the guy that's been an absolute force this entire game. That as good as the Jets defense has been, they just can't seem to cover him.
The thing that I also hated about the whole situation was coming into that 3rd down, I would have much rather it just thrown for the 1st down twice. It's a situation where given everything, like, and the announcers were saying like, oh, you have 2 plays to get there, but why? Like you don't have all the time in the world to go down and score. You need to move the ball fast, and I would much rather throw the ball in that 10 to 15 yard range twice, and instead on 3rd down they throw a drag route, get 3 yards. And then on 4th down, they're throwing for 50 yards down the field. And it's not that complicated. You needed to get to 10 yards, just draw up 2 plays that are going to gain 12 to 15 yards and comfortably get you that 1st down. And I don't know if that was Hurts not reading the defense the way he was supposed to, or Brian Johnson's play calling, but it doesn't look in sync. And the offense just, once again, the play calling and the decision making by the players on the field boggled my mind in that situation.
And that was kind of the gut punch of that entire drive. Is that so? Jalen Hurts gets the ball back with how much time did he have left?
I think it was like 90 seconds, or give or take around there. And they had all their time. Didn't they have all their timeouts? Or
I think they had 2.
I think they had 2 left.
Yeah, but like you're seeing that, and you're like, They can do this. Like, Jalen Hurts can do this. This is what we wanted in the Super Bowl. This is what we wanted to happen. And then that, like, it's not black and white. You don't have to, like Travis said, you don't have to do tiny little bits or all of it. You
mix and match.
There's 100 yards in this field. You don't have to go for 50 of them all at once. You can, do the thing.
I'm telling you right now, and knowing how certain Jets fans are, people would have been ready to riot after that game if they lost, because people would have been like, why did Breece Hall score? Why did the Jets let him score with that much time left on the clock? Personally, I thought it was a fine decision. Rather, I think we spoke about it pre-show, rather would have a team drive the length of the field to get a touchdown instead of half or not even half. Jake Elliott has an absolute monster of a leg to win a game. Like, I'd rather force that no matter how much time's left. And I'd like to trust my defense that's been doing great all day.
This is a dick kick. That yesterday was a dick kick. It's vibes are low. I'm waiting. I guess Wednesday we'll find out the length and severity of injuries, that kind of stuff. I saw the Eagles Twitter today put out a thing, said that they signed a couple guys. Nope, just kidding. It was running backs for the practice squad. Okay. That's not really an issue right now. We don't really give a shit about that. But actually, running back wise, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I do think it's time to get Rashad Penny in some games.
Get Rashad Penny in games, and give Boston Scott the Kenny Gainwell place. Boston Scott's good.
He looked good yesterday. He looked very good yesterday.
He looked really good yesterday. Oh. Give me Boston Scott instead of Kenny, because, buddy, Kenny ain't it. Kenny ain't it. Boston Scott is it. Boston Scott plays. If there's one person who's not going to get hurt ever in MetLife, it's Boston Scott. Boston Scott knows how to embarrass people in that stadium. Give Boston Scott the ball.
I thought we were well on our way to another game like that.
I was hoping. Yeah, that one play that he ripped off, was it like 13 yards? He just goes out on the left side of the. Oh, my God. It's like, hell yeah, Boston. Go Small King. Go Bosco. Instead, we got Kenny G. And I want to die. So that's where we're at. But, yeah, that's all bad vibes. Let's try to end the show. We got 10 minutes left, a little bit more than 10 minutes left for good vibes. Good things that happened this game. Jalen Hurts is still good at football. Jalen Hurts is really good at those unscheduled plays. Like, was that the first drive where he's stiff-arming two people?
Yes. And then that was A.J. Brown for the first. Yeah,
that was a superstar play. Like,
that was.
I don't know how many players in the NFL, let alone quarterbacks, get out of that. Hurts is one of one in that regard. But I have a question regarding him, and I think it ties in great to this part where Hurts is still phenomenal.
Yep.
And I think everyone, whether you're Eagles, Jets, just an average football watcher, needs to acknowledge that. Are we concerned with the amount they're running him right now over the course of a season? Because the person I was sitting next to was an Eagles fan, and we were talking during the game, and he's like, this looks like the most design runs they've called for Hurts all season. And I get it. Hurts is a phenomenal runner of the football. He's a smart runner of the football. He knows what he's doing. As they go throughout the year, are they going to be willing to put him in harm's way time after time, especially now with the lack of Lane Johnson for however many weeks that it is, and who knows what other injuries you sustain, because it's a very delicate balance. And it's a delicate balance with a guy like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, all these guys that not only have the upper tier passing ability, but also the running ability. So I'm not going to say, oh, I'm so concerned and this is going to cripple the Eagles season. But that one run or that one play could result in Marcus Mariota taking over. And are the Eagles willing to continue to put Hurts in harm's way in that regard? I hope they don't. I hope they lean more on Swift as they have. I hope they start implementing the Rashad Penny carries. Hope they give Boston Scott a role. Because at the end of the day, you don't need to be running Hurts all the time. Use it in the situations that matter.
Yeah. So I'm looking at it now. I don't know about designed runs. He carried the ball 8 times yesterday. He didn't really. Now, yeah, I guess there's a difference between putting him in harm's way. So the way I'm looking at it, some of these carries that he had yesterday, some of these draws, he was able to kind of just cruise up, slide down. He was getting like 9-10 yard carries. That's one thing. What I would say is putting him in harm's way is like in the New England game where he fumbled, where the box is stacked, and you say, you know what, I'm going to have my quarterback be a power back right now.
Okay,
I would consider that being harm's way. It seems like a lot of the RPOs and some of these other runs, I guess that's not necessarily a designed run, but it seems like he's pretty good at getting himself out of harm's way. Like last week with the Rams, when he gets I don't know how his legs are still intact and they're not just straight up torn off of his body. We've all seen that run where he gets hit from a guy in the side and his knee turns inside out, but he just Deadpools it back together and he just continues to run like that. That's one thing that I could consider that one being put in harm's way, but I feel like it's not necessarily being put in harm's way, if that makes sense.
No, 100%. It's just like he's an important part of their offense when carrying the ball.
Yeah.
But I get concerned when that is the case, because the Eagles are unlike a lot of teams in the sense they do have great running backs. They have guys that can carry that workload. So do you need to even utilize Hurts more than 3, 4, 5 times a game before you get to the postseason?
Oh,
right.
You shouldn't.
Right.
I mean, do you have a different take on that, Travis?
Yeah, I think Hurts has been a pretty smart runner most of the time. Obviously not in fumbling in New England, but against the Jets, he did have a time or two where he was able to run and get the first down and then slide before contact came his way.
Yeah.
And I think as long as he's running the ball smart, and I more have a problem with the situations of when we choose to run. You can't run with a stacked box like Jake said. You also shouldn't be doing a QB draw on 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, because it shouldn't be a part of your game plan like that. It shouldn't be, I need my quarterback to run out of an empty backfield for a first down. On 3rd down, it should be, oh, they're not stacking the box and it's 2nd and 4, 2nd and 5, and there's only 3 or 4 linemen on the line of scrimmage. Yeah, we'll find the empty gap and we'll run a quarterback draw up there. I have no problem with that. But I do think eight carries is, if you have 3 or 4 designed runs in there and a QB sneak or 2 and he escapes once or twice, and that's how you get your 8, I'm fine with that. I don't think it should be double digits at all, but I would like to see a little less Kenneth Gainwell, a little more Rashad Penny getting some carries going forward instead of Jalen Hurts needing to be the one that you absolutely need to run for a first down in a key situation.
Yeah, and yeah, Travis, you bring up, or not Travis, Brandon, you bring up the Josh Allen. He's much less reckless than Josh Allen. Josh Allen, and trying to hurdle everybody. Like, buddy, what are you doing? You trying to just jump over a 6 foot tall man?
I think Travis nailed it on the head. I think my concern is more tied in with when they're deciding to have him run versus, Jalen sees open field. He's not going to be stupid. He's not going to try and run through, a linebacker or defensive lineman. No, he's going to slide, take the yards, fight for the next down. And we saw it multiple times. 3rd and 7, quarterback draw against, a box that might be stacked. Like, that's the type of issues or the type of plays where you have a bigger shot of him getting hurt or something going wrong where, maybe he's knocked out for a few plays and it completely stalls out your off. Like, it's more of an unnecessary risk in that case where you don't need to put him in harm's way. If you want to run the ball, like you maybe use it once or at most twice. But when you're getting into the 3, 4, 5 range of that, good defenses are going to tee off on that.
Yeah, I agree. Let's do. We only got a little bit of time left. I know Philly's game starts in less than 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
Let's pay another good thing that happened, an homage to the defensive line specifically. We're looking at 5 sacks this game. 5 sacks this game. Hassan Reddick 2.5 sacks. Milton Williams half a sack. Jordan Davis half a sack, and Brandon Graham half a sack. Brandon Graham got his half a sack coming from the middle. He wasn't he was in a 2-point stance, but he's playing a zero tech, just lined up over the center and just blasted through. And him and Jordan Davis got that sack. That was awesome. Hassan Reddick, noted good. I'm very curious. I know I'm dumb, a dumb simpleton. Is football so simple that you get a cast taken off your arm and then you're good again?
I don't think it hurts. I don't think it hurts.
He's what is it, 5.5 sacks or more than that since he's got 5.5 sacks, I think, since he's gotten his cast taken off. Like, that's incredible.
I think it's just all about mentality, man. If he doesn't feel right with the cast on his hand, maybe some people, they don't care, but other people like Hassan, he gets that off, he feels right, and that's all he needs.
Dude, he's so good. Jalen Carter was missed, but he's not as key to this defensive line as I thought. They still got a lot of really good production, but him just being out there just amps it up to a totally different level. I think we said that going in is he's been incredibly impactful, but he's been doing that on such a low number of a low number of snaps that it might not be it's not like he's being incredibly impactful and playing 60% of snaps. He's being incredible and playing 30% of snaps. So he was missed, but he's not the most important piece.
How good would he be if he was playing the full allotment, though?
Oh, buddy, I don't know. It's just a matter of time till he's there, and it's gonna be so beautiful. It's gonna be beautiful. But yeah, James Bradbury, good. It was weird that the announcers were like, he's an NFC South guy. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Nobody remembers.
I don't think he's been an NFC South guy since 16?
Yeah. Congratulations on him being with the Panthers.
He's played for more NFC East teams.
Yeah, Mark Sanchez is a lunatic. Mark Sanchez is a wild man. You didn't hear Brandon, but at one point he called Jalen Hurts a salmon covered in Vaseline. It's like, I get it.
What?
Yeah. That sounds like something that I would say, and I'm a
that does sound like something you would say.
Yeah, that's a weird thing for an adult, like an actual adult, to say.
Salmon. I feel like wait. I can't wrap my head around. I feel like there's like 100 different ways you could say that better.
Yeah, greased up watermelon,
or like slippery.
Yeah, well, he's a Mark Sanchez. If nothing, he's a wordsmith. That's what. Not a good quarterback, but
the Mark Sanchez Bowl. That's what this weekend was.
That's what it was, and you never want to lose the Mark Sanchez Bowl. That is not a.
I think both teams, both offenses, paid homage to their time with Mark Sanchez.
No shit. I didn't think about that. Yeah, that
one took on the small amount of yards, and one took on the turnovers. It just wasn't the same team.
God damn it. All right. Well, we talked through this. Do you guys have anything else to add to this?
Maybe not this, but man, we got a very interesting matchup coming up because look, the Jets weren't the team to capitalize on it, but the Miami Dolphins might be in prime position to start a track meet against the Eagles secondary that is frankly, just not healthy enough to deal with that right now.
Eagles are currently I put my bet in already on I had it at Dolphins plus 2.5. I think it's down to the Eagles are favorites in that game for some reason.
How?
I don't know.
No way they're still favorites.
It opened at 2.5, and I don't get it. I don't get it.
I think the only thing I can rationalize that with is that the Eagles are the home team in the game. That's it. It's like a coin flip, but they're giving the edge to the Eagles because they're home.
Ugh. I don't know. Yeah, but yeah, I already took Dolphins plus 2.5. I have Dolphins outright in that game. That's not good. Travis, you got anything else to add?
I see Oscar said that Zach Wilson is Eagle killer. That's quite interesting, being as the Jets getting drafted to the Jets is a career killer.
Just for quarterbacks.
That's just a closing thought.
There you go. That's a good thing to end it on. The Jets are nothing. They'll always be nothing. Congratulations on a meaningless win, out of conference win. I'm very happy for you, Robert Saleh.
They won their Super Bowl in October.
Look at them. Look at them go. That's perfect. Love that for them. All right. Thank you guys very much for listening to this. I don't know, gripe sesh. We tried to end it on something positive. But appreciate you guys sticking around. Phillies game starts in 5 minutes, so we'll let you all go to that. It is the other TV is going to have the Kellen Moore Bowl, and hopefully the Kellen Moores come out on top on that one. And the Eagles still have a two game buffer in the NFC East. But other than that, thank you guys very much. That's Brandon Pockris. That is Travis Williams down there. Thank you guys very much for hanging out. Go Phils, go Birds. And goodbye.